Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Robin's Nest. Big news today from Steve Phelps, NASCAR's new commissioner, not president, commissioner, regarding the Fontana property. I want to talk about that and also want to give you my opinion on the penalties handed down to the Xfinity drivers this weekend. So let's get into it. Remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment, turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos. Here we go. So I think everyone's been waiting on pins and needles to see what's going to happen with the Fontana racetrack, California. NASCAR shut it down, I think, 2 or 3 years ago. It may have been longer than that. And they've started to cut the property up and sell it to various real estate developers. The last photo I saw of the track, I think the whole back stretch was gone. Front stretch was basically the only thing left. And the original plan was to sell some of the property and build a short track there, which I think everyone who saw those original plans, knew that that was an ambitious project. I mean, even by NASCAR standards, that was likely never going to happen, and now it's official, kind of, that it's probably not going to happen. Steve Phelps, I think he was on a podcast. I read the transcript of the interview this morning, and he was saying that, you know, the dollar figure, I think he's something like $300 million for that entire property. That may be wrong, but it's somewhere in that ballpark to build a short track there. And that's, you know, with construction, red tape, and all that nonsense. And he said essentially that, you know, would it make sense for them to spend that money there or elsewhere? And, you know, the thing about NASCAR in California is this is an experiment that has been tried and tried and tried. At least I think in Southern California. I'm not an expert on California, so I don't know where Sonoma is exactly. I know it's in the Napa Valley, but that track, for whatever reason, has worked. Even though you look at the current car, and it's terrible on road courses. It's absolutely terrible. Gen 7 car is like watching paint dry on short tracks and road courses, which is ridiculous because short tracks specifically have been the backbone of NASCAR since its inception, and the races are absolutely terrible, and they're the same way with the road courses. So it's amazing to me that track's not having any issues in the current landscape of NASCAR Cup racing anyways. But, you know, it's every other track in California has not worked out. You know, you look at Riverside, look at the LA Coliseum. You know, the first year that they did the Clash at the LA Coliseum, it did pretty good. You know, TV ratings were good, attendance was good, and it's steadily fallen off ever since, which is why they switched to Bowman Gray for this year. You know, I don't know what the specific reasons are. I could guess and say that no matter what happens, NASCAR will always have the connotation of being a good old boy sport, a regional southeastern sport, even though it's not. And you look at the grid, like all the guys that race in NASCAR now are like from the West Coast, from the most part. If they're not, they're from like North Carolina. And North Carolina is not a southern state. You know, in traditional terms, it's not a southern state. It's not like going to Alabama. Trust me, I know. I live in Alabama, and that's not a dig. I love my state, but you know, you can't deny that it's a southern state, and everything that goes on here, you know, it's just illustrates that. And like I said, not in a negative way. I'm not, you know, I love my state, but anyways, you know, I don't think that NASCAR will ever be able to fully escape from that, you know, that kind of that image. And Lord knows they've tried over the past few years, especially from COVID moving forward. Some of the things that they've done, they have tried everywhere in the world to get away from that moniker, but I just don't think it'll ever happen. Plus, you know, NASCAR is so. I hate to constantly make videos and trash NASCAR. Okay, I personally have a huge issue with the current leadership in NASCAR. So I'm biased, and just put that out there. Like, Up front, I'm biased. Okay. So I think NASCAR, the gimmicks, a lot of people see through that. And, with the stages, stage breaks, overtime, playoffs, all this nonsense. I think a lot more people than what we think see through that. And, at the end of the day, you're watching guys, and at the LA Coliseum, you're watching guys go around in circles and they can't hardly pass. They're on a track that's the size of a high school running track, and they're talking about aero. Same thing with Bowman Gray. Chase Elliott he won the race at Bowman Gray, but they played his radio communication and he was complaining about having an arrow push when he got up behind somebody on a high school running track, essentially. And so it was the same thing with the LA Coliseum. But I don't know if it's the gimmicks or if it's just it's just not exciting enough. Whatever the case is that outside of Sonoma, I just don't see NASCAR having much of a market there. So yeah, I would sell the property if it were me. Cut my losses and move on. Now, what's crazy to me is where the backstretch is. This is the same track that Greg Moore was killed at in 1999, I believe it was, in a kart race, IndyCar. And so what's crazy to me is if you're anyone, say that that and you're working in one of the warehouses on the property on the backstretch where that happened, where the backstretch was, that's just kind of crazy to me that you'd be walking around working where that happened. I don't know. Maybe I'm weird. I don't know. But just seems kind of nuts to me to be kind of far out, kind of crazy. But anyway, I think they should cut their losses, move on, do something else. If you want to build a short track, if you want another short track, there's plenty for sale. Go buy Greenville Pickens, before they bulldoze it, if they haven't bulldozed it already. If you want to stay in California, try Irwindale. Keep it from, meeting the same fate as Fontana. There's plenty of short tracks across this country that could use saving. And NASCAR's got the resources to do that and then put on a halfway decent show. So anyway, I want to talk about the penalties from this weekend. So I made a video the other day and I was advocating, and I've advocated for this for years, for NASCAR to start officiating. It's as simple as that, just officiate. They went through the whole era with Brian France where we're just going to take a step back and basically let boys have at it. I mean, that's what they called it. But essentially, we're just going to let the boys have at it. And, when you do that and you don't officiate, you get what you had this weekend, which I think everyone agrees is too far. It shouldn't have happened. I saw people on Twitter this morning, or X, whatever you want to call it, talking about, this is short track racing. There's going to be bumping and banging. There shouldn't have been a penalty. Okay, but what happened at the end of that race Saturday is not bumping and banging. I also saw people saying, well, if this would never happen if Dale Earnhardt was alive, he used to do this. No. Okay, I watched NASCAR back when Dale was alive. I never once saw Dale drive off into a corner as deep as he possibly could. Like, don't even touch the brakes, just send it, clobber the guy in front of you, take him out, take yourself out, and then take out half the field. I never saw him do that. Now, he wrecked people, no doubt. No doubt. But nothing as egregious as what happened Saturday. So, Sammy got penalized, some money, some points. Good. It should have happened the day of. There should have been like a time penalty Saturday or something to that effect rather than waiting 2-3 days to announce a penalty. But at least they did. My problem with the whole shebang that happened Saturday was the fact that Taylor Gray was fined $5,000 for arguing with Sammy. And NASCAR claimed that it was because of infield care center conduct. Okay, but they weren't in the infield care center. They were in front of it. They weren't in it. And so now we're in the business of, NASCAR's in the business of dictating where people can argue with one another. Like, are you serious? And Jeb Burton came out in defense of NASCAR saying, well, they made the right decision because Jeb was fined five G's as well for arguing with someone inside the care center. Now, inside the care center is a different story because, I mean, like, you wouldn't go into the hospital and do that kind of crap. So, like, it's a similar thing. Now, I understand that. I understand if you go in there around the doctors and all that kind of crap. And, yeah, that makes sense. It doesn't make sense if you're arguing outside in the parking lot around the building. That makes absolutely no sense. So, like, my argument, like I said, was I want NASCAR to officiate like every other motorsport category on the planet does, where when someone deliberately runs somebody over, then there's going to be hell to pay. There's going to be some kind of heavy-handed response by the officiating body. But NASCAR's proceeded to surpass everyone else, every other motorsports category on the planet, because I've never in my life heard of a driver being penalized for arguing with someone else. That's crazy. Actually, that's kind of crazy. I guess be careful what you ask for. You know, I wanted them to officiate. Well, they're doing it, and they're doing it way more severe than everybody else is. I don't know. The leadership in NASCAR, this goes back to what I said a minute ago about me being biased and having a problem with leadership, is they act so incompetent. Like, they have no clue what they're doing. Like, yeah, we're going to penalize Sammy for driving like an idiot. Totally fine. But you know what? Let's just keep going. Let's see how much money we can drain out of this whole situation. How much money we can make. Come on. So now what? Now, if you want to argue with somebody, you have to go ask NASCAR where you can argue? Where's the designated area in the infield where me and whoever can go have a conversation where we won't get penalized? You know what I'm saying? It's just, it makes absolutely no sense. It's nonsense. It's nonsense. Also, I wanted to touch on Liam Lawson and Red Bull, the whole Formula One thing. I haven't really talked about it too much. There's a million videos out there. Everyone's talking about it. Everyone's pretty much covered everything. But I wanted to give my opinion on this because people are dragging Red Bull through the mud and basically saying that they're incompetent, they don't know what they're doing with bringing up their junior drivers into, you know, the main game, to the main Red Bull team. That Liam deserved more than 2 races. 2 races is not enough. Yeah, okay, I could see that argument. But 2 races is enough when it's Red Bull, who's won how many championships in the past few years? How many races with Max? And then you come into this season and you've got one car that's running at the pointy end of the field. I mean, he's running for podiums, at least. And then you've got one car that's running dead last. 6/10 off the pace? Nah, that crap ain't gonna cut it. I don't care, like, who you are. Obviously. You think McLaren would put up with that crap if, just say, Oscar was running up front and Lando was running in the back? Or vice versa? No. Absolutely not. Neither would Ferrari, neither would Mercedes. They just wouldn't. Racing is a performance-based industry, okay? You have to perform. And in Formula One, it's just the nature of the beast. You have to perform basically straight out of the gate. Look at, I think his name's Antonelli, the rookie who's driving for Mercedes. He's performed straight out of the gate. You know, and that's not a car that I would say is like the best car on the grid. But he's made do, and he's been running up front in the points. You cannot be as far off the pace as what Liam was and expect to stick around. I don't think 2 races was too much, or I don't think 2 races was too little. I think he never should have been put in that car in the first place. Yuki should have been put in that car. If you had Sergio in that car and you weren't running good, so you get rid of Sergio and hire a different driver to fill that gap because you want that car to run up front. Why in God's name would you hire a dude that's essentially been sitting on the sidelines? He ran, 11 races, I think, for Racing Bulls over the past year or two. He's essentially a rookie. And you've got a car that's temperamental. And Sergio couldn't do anything with it, and he's a seasoned veteran. You're going to throw a rookie in here, and you're going to think that he's going to do... No. That was a terrible decision on Helmut's part, Christian's part. I like Christian, but I mean, whoever made that decision, it was a bad decision. It should have been Yuki from day one. Now, whether Yuki sank or swim, it doesn't matter. Yuki had experience, so obviously the car is going to run better than dead last, I would imagine. You know, you kind of figure out where you're at. Obviously, the car is not very good anyways. It needs some work done. But, yeah, my point is that all the people giving Red Bull a hard time, this is motor racing, baby. This is how this is just it's how the world turns. I mean, it's you either perform at that level or you're gone. I don't have a problem with it personally. I'm not biased like I like Yuki. I don't really even know anything about Yuki. It's just, you know, this is not something new, by the way. This has happened in Formula 1 forever. Like forever. You know, when I was a kid, and I wasn't a huge Formula 1 fan, but when I was a kid, I remember hearing about guys getting dropped and stuff after one or two races. You know, back when you had teams that couldn't qualify because you had like more teams show up than what there were places on the grid. I know it's been forever, but you had teams swapping drivers left and right. I mean, at the drop of a hat. So this is nothing new. I know we're in the social media age now where everyone's got an opinion, and a lot of these people just started watching Formula 1 2 seconds ago. But it's the nature of the beast. Get used to it, because it'll happen again. I promise you, it will happen again. At some point down the road, some driver will be hired by one of these top teams. He's not going to perform, and he's going to get chopped straight out of the gate, basically. So, and just remember what I told you. This is motor racing. Welcome. What was it that Eddie Jordan said that he was told? This is the Piranha Party, I think is what he said. Party, yeah. Anyways, something along those lines. But that's exactly what it is. Everybody's trying to get to the front. And you're going to do whatever you need to do to make that happen. So, anyways, that's my opinion on that. If you enjoyed listening to me ramble, make sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment, turn on notifications. The works. We'll be uploading some more stuff throughout the week. And we uploaded a rally video earlier today, Marcus Gronholm, in 2007 in Norway. I never watched that rally. I didn't even know it existed. I had no clue that there was a Norway rally, Norwegian rally, whatever you want to call it. Basically, it looked like Sweden. Snow. A whole bunch of snow. But it's pretty cool. Like I said, I didn't know it existed. So I found it yesterday, watched it, thought it was pretty cool. We uploaded that. So I'll put the link in the description. Go check that one out. So I appreciate you watching. Until next time, we'll see you. Thanks. Peace.
100 fölfele, jobb 2 tempó, 20-ra bal 2 tempó, 25-ra bal 2 tempó, 25-re bal 2 szűk, bal 2 szűk, és bal 2, majd 50-re jobb 2, itt a bal